Welcome to today's edition of Break Off. Well, I guess it had to happen eventually. We've had beautiful weather here for half term, but it is cold, damp and grey here at the Motorpoint Arena, and I'm losing the umbrella. But I tell you what, absolutely nothing is going to detract from what we know will be a truly thrilling Thursday.
Waking up to ash and dust, I wipe my brow and I sweat my rust. I'm breathing in the chemicals.
Well, thankfully, most of the action today is happening inside in the dry and the warm. Now, 6 of the 13 men ever to lift this illustrious trophy started today, still in with a shout of further Welsh Open glory. But amazingly, the first to fall happened to be the reigning world number 1, the current world champion Mark Selby, succumbing to the teenager Luca Bracel in a final frame decider. The 19-year-old Belgian booking his place in the quarter-finals of a ranking event for the first time since December 2012. No wonder he was so delighted when he talked to Mark Johnston-Allen after the match.
Luca, congratulations, great win.
Yeah, great win, absolutely. Yeah, number 1, so it was a tough game, but I kept going until the end.
Were you confident you could win, or in the back of your mind you're just going out there to enjoy it and see what happens?
I was very confident to win, actually, yeah. That's the thing I worked on hard, to believe you can beat the top players, and I've done that twice now in this tournament, beat Milkins, number 15, and now Selby playing one of his best snooker, I think. And he put me under a lot of pressure, so I'm really happy with this game.
Well, an incredible victory for Luca Bracel. I've moved into the press room to try and catch a word with Ivan Hershevitz. Ivan, I think everybody was quite surprised. I mean, Mark Selby, the world number 1, the reigning world champion, but Bracel looks as though he's back producing the kind of form that we thought he was capable of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we remember when he broke through in 2012, youngest player ever to compete at the Crucible, quarterfinals of the UK Championship in the same year, and we all thought this guy's the next big thing. Since then, he just didn't dedicate himself enough to practice. He's still living in Belgium, but he wasn't working hard enough in his game. I think he was driving a big car, and he had the Louboutin shoes and everything, but he wasn't doing it on the table. And it's only recently he's got back together with his coach Chris Henry, which I think is a really good move. He's focusing more on practice and he's getting the results, and we all know he's got the talent, but he's got to produce it.
Well, he certainly did today, a great victory over Mark Selby. So we began with a shock and another one followed. Judd Trump is riding high towards the top of the world rankings at the moment. Mark Williams has been there before, double world champion, let's not forget, but currently struggling to maintain his place in the world's top 16. But he didn't take too long to beat Trump this afternoon, 4 frames to 1, and he was delighted when I spoke to him after the match. Mark, excellent win over Judd Trump. You must be delighted.
Yeah, over the moon. I mean, it's a long time since I beat a top player and beat them by the scoreline of 4-1. Anyway, I was playing reasonably well coming into it, and I've done for the last few months. I knew I could make it difficult for him, but even though he missed a lot of balls you think he would have got, I think I did outplay him in most departments.
Well, Mark Williams can sometimes be a little bit self-deprecating come the big occasions and the interviews, but Ivan, there's no doubt he'll be absolutely delighted with that. Not only to get into the quarterfinals here, but to give himself a chance of not having to qualify for the Crucible.
Yeah, every pound is vital now for the likes of Williams, John Higgins, Robert Milkins, Graham Dott. Just trying to get as much money as they can to make sure they don't have to qualify for Sheffield in April, which is going to be really tough for those who do. But yeah, Williams really, since the International Championship last November, he's been playing really well. He's won a lot of matches. He's back in the top 16 and he's looking to go higher. He's so laid back away from the table when he's up here playing with his kids and his wife and his pals in the press room. But once he gets on there, he's so determined, because he knows he's got a chance to go a long way this week.
Well, he certainly has, and he'll be reaping the rewards of that passionate Welsh crowd for certain when he comes back for the quarterfinals. Well, Williams is a double world champion. John Higgins knows what it takes to win at the Crucible with 4 crowns. He booked his place in tomorrow's quarterfinals with a victory over Michael Georgiou. No place in the last 8, though, for Ali Carter, the 2009 Welsh Open champion, succumbing to Ben Wollaston, who produced one of his best performances, arguably, over the last 2 or 3 years, and he understandably was absolutely elated when I caught up with him after the match. Ali's won this title before. That was the first of his 3 ranking crowns, so you knew you were up for a tough match.
Yeah, I knew I was, but yesterday gave me confidence, beating Mark Allen, who I've lost to 3 or 4 times in deciding frames. So to beat him yesterday gave me the confidence for today. Yeah.
And what's clicked this week? Why have you just suddenly found that extra gear?
I had a really bad result in Barnsley in the China Open qualifiers, but I knew I'd been playing well. So first match I was a bit angry really with my game, so I've just really tried my best. It's just come together.
Great stuff from Ben Wollaston, and his supporters will be delighted to know that he is still in the hunt for the BetVictor Welsh Open title. Now, if you've been watching here in Wales, you'll know that Mark Johnston-Allen is doing a spot of emceeing at this tournament. Remember, he's the guy that beat Stephen Hendry 3 times without reply. He's also been to the final of the European Open, and he's been casting his eye over the world of snooker, producing his masterclass. Today, he's talking about his equipment.
Welcome back to Mark's Masterclass. Today I'm going to focus on the table, all the equipment used and how to maintain a table properly. First of all, your table. Very smooth one way, running that smooth. If I run it back the other way, very rough. And because the table's got very, very fine hairs, people like Matthew Stevens, Ronnie O'Sullivan, they really grip the bed of the cloth very, very tightly. And if they do that, you'll see all the rough coming up on the green. These balls, these Aramith balls, are extremely light. And as they're running against the grain, you can see it very, very slowly, they're moving. So that's why every 4 frames, the table fitter comes out. They'll take this brush all the dust off. You look at that black ball there, it's filthy. And the reason the referee cleans it all the time is that needs to be absolutely spotless. Any trace of that, and the object ball, when it makes contact, there's every reason that could climb up it. And that's the bit that creates the kick. One of the mill, £30 cue. Stephen Hendry was famous for the fact that his cue was worth £30 from a supermarket, and yet he won 7 world titles with it. The cue got broke, got snapped, and he was never the same player again. The top players, they mainly use a chap called John Paris, who will make you a bespoke cue. It will be the length, the exact length you want. It will be the exact weight you want. The weight is put in this end, and you can have more lead here, more lead there. If you like it heavy at the front, he can do that. The size of the ferrule. Now that's probably about a 10mm ferrule. Some people like a 9, 8.5, 9.5. That can be done to suit you. And then the most important thing, the tip. Now that is just a bog standard tip. Most players nowadays use the Outmaster, something in the region of 9.5 to 10mm. You file it down to suit yourself, and it's a very personal type. It's a very personal thing, very personalised. I think the main thing is you feel comfortable with it. So that's your equipment masterclass for today. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Well, it's great to know Mark Johnston-Allen's equipment is fully intact, ready for his next masterclass as we head towards the climax. Now, another former champion of the Welsh Open was in action today. Stephen Maguire in an all-Scottish derby against one of his best mates, Alan the Angles McManus. McManus is having a great couple of seasons. Maguire beat him 4 frames to 0, so slightly mixed feelings in the post-match press conference. Delighted to be in the quarter-finals, but never nice to put away a great mate as convincingly as he did this afternoon. So many big players have gone out this tournament, not just Ronnie, but Judd's been beaten today by Mark Allen's gone, Selby, Murphy. Do you see this year being wide open now for this Welsh?
No, I don't know about wide open. There's going to be another 8 boys in it tomorrow, so you know, although a few of the top boys get beat, I mean, it's still, this tournament's certainly not wide open.
Well, we've got to get the thoughts from Ivan Hershevitz once again. Ivan, Stephen's sometimes a frustrating player because he's got so much natural ability, and he might say himself that he probably should have won more ranking events than he currently has done, but a great opportunity for him now into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of a quiet man sometimes. He kind of sneaks his way through tournaments, doesn't he? And then suddenly he's in the later stages. But if you look at his record, going back to the UK Championship over the last, 2 or 3 months, he's been one of the most consistent players in the world, time and time again. He's been there towards the end. He won the Lisbon Open, but yeah, he wants to win one of the big ranking events. You know, he's won, 5 in his career, but you're right, he should have won more than that. He's got another all-Scottish game tomorrow against John Higgins, another one of his close friends. He's played Higgins quite a few times recently and had the upper hand, so I think Maguire will really fancy the job tomorrow.
Well, great stuff from him. Good performance from Marco Fu as well, beating Matthew Stevens. So he goes from one Welshman to another. Fu will play Mark Williams. And as we bring things towards a conclusion here on Thrilling Thursday, it's about time we caught up with the latest odds from Charlie McCann.
Just coming to the end of day 4 of the BetVictor Welsh Open Snooker Championship, and was a star born this afternoon. Luca Brecel, remember the name, 19 years of age, from Belgium, and he knocked out the world champion, the world number 1, and also the recent German Masters champion Mark Selby. Selby magnanimous in defeat, said he did very, very little wrong. Brecel was outstanding. Beat Robert Milkins 4-0, beat Oliver Brown 4-0. He's just beginning to fulfil that potential. Do remember the name. But Neil Robertson is the 13-8 favourite, just about to take centre stage now. And then it's Steve Maguire 5-1, Marco Fu 6-1. Marco Fu's just beaten Matthew Stevens. Matthew Stevens, one Welsh hope down, but we've still got Mark Williams. Mark Williams played really well to beat Judd Trump. I think he was really pleased with that performance against one of the top players in the world. But the day is all about Luca Brecel from Belgium, 19 years of age. He's knocked out the world champion. He is 20-1. He couldn't, could he?
Well, it promised to be a thrilling Thursday, and it duly delivered every step of the way. It's been a week of upsets, and that continued as we close in on the crowning of the 2015 BetVictor Welsh Open champion. 3 days to go, just 8 players remain. We are getting tantalisingly close to finding out who's going to be lifting this trophy on Sunday night. That's it for this edition of Break Off. We'll see you for more tomorrow.